Are you sure that you didn't just take some girl home from a bar and you were too drunk to remember and she was just really gross looking?
No, I remember all of those. I lived also on Hollywood in Formosa. That was one of the places I lived at, a place called the Hollywood Lanai. Back in the 50s, it was a motel that was owned by the original Joker. The Joker in the 50s was it Cesar Romero. When I was asleep, it was daytime, and so all of my sleep paralysis would be during the day. And so, like, I opened my eyes and see what was going on in daylight. So it wasn't like this is night. It wouldn't go black, and the clock would never change time. And so then it would become an immediate, oh, it's happening again.
So we talk about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next day I bring it up. Hey, we should talk about this. Zahn, absolutely not interested. Doesn't want to do it. He's like, nope, you guys can do that. I can leave, whatever, but I'm not inviting that around me. And I'm like, I get it.
Yeah,
you
fair.
know? And we talk about it. And we talk about, dark entities attaching themselves. And then we're like, all right, let's do the podcast. So we did something completely different, right? However, since then, I've had like 6 different nightmares and like violent nightmares.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been sleep paralysis, but there have been silhouettes, creepy silhouettes in these dreams where, like, I don't know. Again, maybe the power of suggestion, not 100% sure, but I do know my sleep has been disrupted since that happened. And we'll see what happens because of this discussion, I guess.
So I had sleep paralysis pretty bad in my teens and 20s. Like it was a regular occurrence. And in my 20s, I spent 11 years in Hollywood, and like right in the middle of it. So I mean, my first wild experiences with sleep paralysis as an adult in Hollywood. I was living off of Argyle and Franklin, up the top of Argyle. For anybody that knows the Hollywood area, there's a huge apartment complex up there. On the on the west side of the street. Once you get right up to the very top of it, and I guess back in the day, it had that complex had a reputation for being like a drug house and heroin house of sorts. I don't know. This is just what somebody else told me who was born and raised there, and they were elderly when I lived there 20 plus years ago. And
right.
And
they called them flop houses back then.
They probably did. So that was. That place definitely had its own creep factor for sure.
Yeah.
And I remember that was one of the first times that I remember seeing the bed move so again, I never recall seeing the hag, but multiple times something crawling up the bed on top of me.
Are you sure that you didn't just take some girl home from a bar and you were too drunk to remember and she was just really gross looking?
No, I remember all of those.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Book coming out in November.
Right. So in the feeling, for those that don't know, the feeling is your body is frozen up and you regain consciousness, but you can't use anything. It's kind of like the light switch is on, but the nervous system is off.
Right. Like your eyes. You can use your eyes.
I mean, kind of like you have to, like I would have to struggle to keep my eyes open. Right. And you can't move because just nervous system is off, so muscles aren't firing, nothing's going on, unless it's an involuntary thing like breathing, right? Okay,
right.
So there's this real struggle, and as you became, for me, as I would become more aware of my surroundings, the struggle would become more and more significant. Of course, science would tell you, this is, you're not actually awake when this is happening. Right. You're asleep. You're regaining some bit of consciousness, but you're still actually asleep, dreaming. And of course, when you regain some consciousness in the dream state, fear starts to build, and then your mind creates all of these things that aren't real. But this has been going on for centuries. All of these sleep paralysis demons, these stories have been going on throughout history, all over the world, for as long as we've been recording history. And so for me, I'm not entirely convinced that it's just my body or my brain creating something because of the experiences. I lived also on Hollywood in Formosa. It was one of the places I lived at, a place called the Hollywood Lanai. back in the 50s, it was a motel that was owned by the original Joker. The Joker in the 50s, was it Cesar Romero?
Yes,
that correct? Yeah,
it was.
He originally owned that place. But that place was weird. The unit that we lived in, we definitely had a spirit wandering around in there because weird stuff would happen. I had a candle that was just a hand with the middle finger up. Right. Yeah. And I'm watching TV one day by myself there. No one else is there. This is the middle of the afternoon. And the thing just flew off the shelf across the other side of the room. Like somebody hit it really, really hard. And the candlestick or the candle holder was on, went halfway across the room, and the candle went all the way to the other side of the room. Not like it floated across, like it was fucking just jettisoned across the room.
Yeah.
There was another time where I recall there was... Again, sometime in the afternoon. It's not like this is 3 o'clock in the morning or something weird. It's not the witching hour or anything.
Right.
But the glassware that we had, one of them just exploded on the counter. And at that point, we had already, my roommate and I, my roommate was Kalen, he was out on tour with Korn at that time. So he was my roommate when he was around, but it wasn't very often. I typically was just there by myself. And so the glass exploded. And I remember turning and looking at it from the couch to be like, whatever, I'm not cleaning up after you, asshole. And I just left the glass there because I didn't have to go. Like I ate at work. I didn't go in that kitchen. There was no reason to.
Right.
So I left that there for weeks. And eventually I was like, I should probably clean it up. I'm accidentally going to step on this sooner or later. But there are all kinds of little things like that happened there. And I had a lot of, I would say a lot of sleep paralysis moments were there. And I slept I worked nightclubs, so I was going to bed at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. So when I was asleep, it was daytime, and so all of my sleep paralysis would be during the day. And so like I opened my eyes and see what was going on in daylight. So it wasn't like this is nighttime, like oh, the hag only happens at night. Like that experience, like I had that in the middle of the day, 11 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I also knew when it was going to happen, and I'll tell you about that in just a second. Go ahead. You say something?
No. Tell me now.
So I figured out or found a commonality when I would have, when I would know it was about to happen. A lot of the times, a lot of times. So I always, until more recently, I always had a clock next to the bed. Didn't use a cell phone. Then, I mean, people had cell phones, but this is early and mid 2000s, so cell phones weren't super common yet.
Yeah.
And they were flip top, and we just didn't use them then the way that they are used now. And so I had just your old school red digital clock on the, and so what I noticed was a reoccurring experience for me is that if I looked at my clock, I would notice, in my dream, I would see my clock. I would think that I was awake in my dream.
Yeah.
And I could feel myself blinking. Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. But the clock wouldn't, when you blink, things turn black for a fraction of a second.
Right.
Things wouldn't go black, and the clock would never change time. And so then it would become an immediate, oh, it's happening again.
But it wasn't the same time every time.
No, it wasn't the same time every time.
Okay.
So I found that I would, and sometimes I would be able to wake myself. I would like, oh, that's what's going on. And I would do something to jolt myself, try to roll over or something, jolt myself, wake up. And like, okay, cool. I got myself out of it this time. It also took me a few times to realize that if I went back to sleep right away, and this was a really weird one for me, the experience of, okay, well, I woke myself up. It's not going to happen. I'll lay back down, look at the clock, close my eyes and fall asleep. And immediately I'm looking at the clock again, even though I know I'm asleep. Oof. Yeah. And so then it's like, oh, I just went right back into it. And then, I would try to jolt myself awake again by rolling over or whatever it was. And sometimes that would work and sometimes it wouldn't. And so, it was always very horrifying because like, this is not real. This is not normal. And, I don't know what I'm doing differently these days, but I would say maybe once or twice a year, it'll happen these days.
I think that there's definitely something there to talk about as far as like the fact that we start releasing melatonin and we release dimethyltryptamine or however it's pronounced, DMT, right? We start releasing these things in our brain, which end up giving us dreams, right? Mm-hmm. But when you end up thinking about the fact that people also have this, if it's an illusion, a shared similar illusion. Mm-hmm. And like, if it wasn't for that, I would, absolutely just chalk it up to like, oh, had a weird dream. That sucked. I had a lot of anxiety in that dream. Mm-hmm. And there could scientifically, I would say, be an explanation for the fact that you're in a sleeping state, so you might still have some remnants of DMT in your system or what have you, to cause you to be in a state where your eyes are open, but you're still imagining things, right? I could totally buy into that and be like, yeah, that's the case. However, why is it the same similar characters?
How is the continuity from geographic location to geographic location across so many years?
Right.
It's highly unusual and unexplainable.
Are you tired of big corporations farming you for views? So are we. We're just two poor guys that are trying to put together a podcast. So if you can give us some help by doing a like, share, comment, subscribe, or save, it helps us trend in the algorithms. Thanks.